Hey everybody, I know that the last couple seconds of my last video from yesterday got cut off, the draft recap. Pretty much that was, all that was left to say was that I like Green as a pick. I think he's going to have a good year. He fits in well in that draft spot. So moving on to the second part of the recap, I'm going to try to get through as many rounds as I can. Peyton Manning went first in the third round. Again, a little too early for a quarterback. He's obviously a great quarterback. He's probably the last of the top tier. The top, six would be the top tier: Vic, Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, Rivers, and Manning in no specific order. Um, so, he's going to be a great quarterback for you. I just feel like it's too early. The guy that took him had Foster and Green in the last two rounds, so his running backs are great to secure that. But this is a spot where you want to pick up a receiver. I feel like it's just a little too early for quarterbacks still. Um, Miles Austin went next. This is another pick that me and Kevin from Draft Sharks were very much in tune with. I really like Austin this year. I feel he's going to have a very, I can't say breakout, he already broke out. He's just going to have a big year. Um, he did well last year with Romo for a little bit and then Kitna for most of the year. So I feel like getting Romo, if Romo can stay healthy, him and Austin have great chemistry. I feel like he's going to have a real good year. Wayne went next. Wayne is always a good receiver, always a good fantasy receiver. I just feel like this year there's a lot of targets in Indy. You got Collie, Garcon, Clark, and before Collie got hurt last year, he was having a great season. I think he had like 8 touchdowns in I think it was like 9 or 10 games before he got hurt for the year. I just feel like there's Peyton Manning is so good at distributing the ball that it can really go either way. Wayne can still have a great year, or it can be evenly distributed to everybody, and they're all about the same worth. And that's just how Manning is. So Wayne's a good pick. I feel like he should go about half round to a round later than the beginning of the third. Um, but he could, if he has another year like last year, then he'll be definitely worth a pick. So we'll have to see on that. Mod Bradshaw went next, fourth overall or fourth pick in the third round. I like this pick. The Giants love to run the ball. They had a better passing game last year. Manning threw, Eli, that is, threw a decent amount of picks, but they still had a pretty good passing game. So I feel like that really takes defenders out of the box. When they did run the ball, they did it very well. Um, they do like to run the ball in the red zone. My only fear is with how much Nix broke out last year and how good of a red zone target he is. That might take some of the red zone touches away from the running backs. So I like Bradshaw in that spot. With the running backs that were left, I think Bradshaw's a good pick. Um, Next was Mike Wallace. Um, Great pick. Actually, yeah, that's why it was a great pick. I looked wrong. That's actually me picking there, the fifth spot in the third round. I took Mike Wallace. Um, I feel like he's going to have a good year this year, with another good year rather, with Roethlisberger. He's one of the best deep threats in the game. Um, Double-digit touchdowns last year, 1,200 plus yards. A lot of his catches go for 20 plus yards, and that's just the kind of target he is. So he's always got that potential for a big time game. With he could have 5 catches, but for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the kind of receiver he is. So I like what he brings to the table. Next went Greg Jennings. This is a hard pick because I'm a big time Packers fan. I actually have the Greg Jennings jersey on today. I'm a big Greg Jennings fan. I feel like he's incredibly underrated in the NFL. But the problem is, Aaron Rodgers, like Peyton Manning, is really good at distributing the football. And they have so many targets in Green Bay. You have Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, who's not anywhere near as close to retirement as people think. If you want proof, check out the play from San Francisco last year. It's on all the top tens. They got Nelson, who had a huge Super Bowl. Um, James Jones, who again is pretty underrated. He has some problems with drops, not as much as people think, because most of his drops actually came in national spotlight. So really, the games that not everyone is seeing, he's a pretty good receiver. They got Finley, one of the best tight ends in the league, if he can stay healthy. Uh, you know, DJ Williams they just drafted, who was probably the top tight end out of college. They drafted Randall Cobb in the second round. There's just too many targets in Green Bay. I really think Jennings, he could catch 80 balls for 1,000 yards again, and he probably will, actually, because he's still the number one receiver. But don't expect anywhere near the 12 touchdowns from last year. I could honestly see him regressing back to 2009 when he had, you know, 4 touchdowns. I think he had that year. I could see him putting up 4 or 5 again. It's just a little early for him, in my opinion. And that's not a knock on him as a player, just how good the Packers receivers are. LeGarrette Blount went next. Good, solid pick. He really performed well in his duties last year. Really came on strong, surprised a lot of people, and now he's tending to go high in drafts. So I like this pick. I think it's just a solid pick for the mid-third round. Steven Jackson went next. Some people might think, oh, LeGarrette Blount before Steven Jackson, a little, strange. I'm not as high on Steven Jackson as most people. I've had him the past couple of years. I really feel like he's falling off. I don't know if he's just getting a little older. I'm not really sure what it is, but I feel like he lost a step. They brought in Carnell Williams, who obviously has not lived up anywhere near his draft spot, but still a serviceable guy. I don't know if he'll take carries away from Jackson. I would doubt it. Jackson's your prototypical every down back, but Sam Bradford could open up the offense. They got Sims Walker. He could be a good pick. I'm just not high on him. I think he went in the right spot. I'm not saying he should be lower, but I'm just saying I don't think that Blount before Jackson is a bad pick by any means. Deshaun Jackson went next. Again, your prototypical home run hitter, kind of like Mike Wallace. Jackson is, I think he had the highest yards per catch average in the NFL last year. Vic loves to throw deep to him. Vic's still got a good arm. Good solid pick. I'm looking who was left. I like it as a pick. Definitely has the possibility, like I said, with Wallace, he could have 4 or 5 catches for over 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. That's the kind of receiver he is. Tony Romo went next. This is a pick that I'm really not fond of. No offense to the drafter. With the 6 quarterbacks that have gone, to take Romo, who is the number 1 of the second-tier quarterbacks, so he's still a great quarterback. After everyone that went, with some of the skill position players that are left, I just am really not fond of this pick. I feel like you could probably waited a couple more rounds and got a quarterback who's going to put up similar numbers and still got a great wide receiver 2 and running back 2. But, that's personal choice. Dwayne Bowe went next. Solid pick. I don't think he'll repeat what he did last year, but he's still a very good wide receiver. They signed Breston. I think Mayeki's going to break out a little bit this year as a tight end. Obviously, they love the running game in Kansas City. Solid pick, nothing special. Roethlisberger went next with the last pick in the 3rd round. Again, not to be too harsh, but this pick just makes no sense to me. Roethlisberger was great last year. He's a great quarterback. Not a huge fantasy quarterback, but a very good quarterback. I just feel like the 3rd round with Roethlisberger, it just doesn't make any sense with the quarterbacks that were taken. Again, you can get some of the guys that are left: Peyton Hillis, Mike Williams from Tampa Bay, D'Angelo Williams, Des Bryant, Jeremy Maclin. Those are some of the guys that went in the next round. I just feel like it's way too early for a quarterback. You could really shore up your skill positions and then get a quarterback who's going to maybe put up a little less, but about the same numbers, just rounds later. To kick off the 4th round, Antonio Gates went first. I like this pick. Some people feel like it's too early for a tight end, and it might be a little bit. But when you look at the receivers that are left, other than Mike Williams and Des Bryant, there's really no one that's going to blow you away. Some people might, Des Bryant, I feel like, I'll explain that when I get to him. I feel like he's going to have a big year. But Antonio Gates from the tight end position puts up wide receiver 2, sometimes wide receiver 1 type numbers. So not a bad pick. Rivers loves him. Obviously, he's a big part of that offense. I feel like Vincent Jackson healthy might take a little bit away from Antonio Gates, but we'll see what happens. Matt Ryan went next. Matt Ryan is a great quarterback. Obviously, has a great record. Has done nothing but perform and win since he came in the league. But he's not your top tier fantasy quarterback. He's a great real life quarterback. Doesn't put up huge numbers. I think he'll have a better year with Julio Jones. Should put up big numbers. He will be serviceable as a starting quarterback. I really do believe that, but it's just too early for that type of pick. And you know what? For every quarterback that goes before the 6th or 7th round, you're probably going to hear me say it's too early. So um, Peyton Hillis went next. Good pick. He kind of fell off towards the end of last year. Didn't have the touchdown the last, I believe, 4 or 5 games. Um, Hopefully, he doesn't carry as much of the load this year. That'll save him for playoff time, fantasy playoff time. Don't think the Browns will be making the playoffs. But again, he had a great, 3 quarters of the year. Let's see how he does. Mike Williams went next. Um, Good pick. I took him for another league I was in. I feel like him and Josh Freeman have a great connection, and they really work well together. So I see another big year out of him, and it's a good pick for the 4th round. D'Angelo Williams went next, 5th pick in the 4th round. Um, got to split time with Stewart. Um, but when he's healthy, when he gets the bulk of the carries, he's a great running back, and he's proved that. Um, so we'll see how much of the carrying load that Carolina gives him. It's going to be hard. They're probably going to face some 9-man boxes with the quarterbacks they got down there. So we'll see how he fares against that. Des Bryant went 6th pick in the 4th round. Like I was starting to say before, I love Des Bryant this year. Had a lot of troubles last year. Still had a pretty good rookie season. I really feel like he's going to have his breakout year this year. I could honestly see 1,000 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns from him, and that's very serviceable as a wide receiver 2. Could even put up wide receiver 1 type numbers. With the 7th pick in the 4th round, Jeremy Maclin was picked. Got his health problems. Not sure when he's going to see the field. Hopefully he's ready in time for the season to start. But at this point, we're not sure. If he's ready, he's a good pick. Just got to see what his health brings. With the 8th pick in the 4th round, I took Jermichael Finley. Again, some people say a little bit of a stretch for a tight end, but I felt with the wide receivers that were left and the running backs that were left, I felt like I could have waited another round for who I wanted. So I decided to stretch a little bit for the tight end. Again, when Finley is healthy, he puts up wide receiver 2 type numbers easily. A lot of the time, wide receiver 1 type numbers. The man is a physical freak, and this has nothing to do with him being a Packer. You have to separate your head and your heart when it comes to fantasy football. If you just look at the man as an objective observer, he is way too big for safeties to cover, and he's way too fast for linebackers to cover. He is a mismatch no matter who lines up against him, and the biggest thing you have to remember is that teams cannot double team him. Most other teams, he would be double or even triple teamed. On the Packers, if you even double team him, you're leaving about 3 holes in your defense, because with the receivers they have, there's already a couple of holes. So look for him to, if he can stay healthy, he will have a huge year. Aaron Rodgers really loves him. Ryan Matthews went next. He's had his problems, didn't have the year people expected last year. I feel like he's going to have a good season. We'll see about those goal line carries with Tolbert, but solid pick with the running backs that were left. Obviously, with a 12-man draft of 16 rounds, we're going to go a little deeper into the pool. So, not a bad pick for this part in the draft. Next up, 10th pick in the 4th round was a guy that I love for this year, Noshawn Moreno. I was really upset. That's the sleeper I was hoping for in the 5th round. I feel like, is just going to have a huge year. He's a good runner, good receiver out of the backfield. John Fox is going to run the crap out of the ball. We all know he loves to do that. I just feel like all signs are pointing to Moreno having a big-time year as long as the guy can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, I honestly see 1,200 yards and 7 or 8 touchdowns as a minimum for the touchdowns. 1,200 yards, I think, is about reasonable. Could get anywhere up, to 1,400 in my eyes. But, don't look for a ton of touchdowns, but I think he should be good around that area. Javid Best went next, another pick that I like since LaShore went down. That's a good pick. Had a solid year last year. We'll see if he can be an every down back. To cap off the 4th round, Daniel Thomas went. A lot of people like him in Miami. We'll see what he can put up in that offense. Good runner. They have a decent line there, pretty good line there. Just in a tough running division with the Jets. He should be able to put up a solid year. Alright, that's the time I have on this video, so look for the next recap shortly. Thanks.